Hi, this is Ming Zaleski. Today I'm going to show you how I make my eye for an eye into a tutorial. Okay, so to start making the eye, first I have chosen a piece of cotton. This is actually a thin piece of canvas from I don't know wherever. I'm a painter as well. This is just a leftover canvas scrap that was too small to be stretched onto a stretcher. So I got a little piece right here, and as usual I like my usual fringes as opposed to cut clean lines. And these are sari silk. The sari silks are basically well, it's I'm guessing it's originated from India. Sari, I guess, really just means scrap fabric that's made in silk. So these are just scrap fabrics, and they sold them in a bundle. They come in strips of about 1 inch wide, 1.5 maybe, and they just come in small strips. Sometimes you can get a lot of it. So this is the assortment color, and my person who asked me, this is actually her eye that I printed out on the color printer. So that's my goal, is to make one of her eyes. So there's that. And what I want to do is I want to use this piece of cotton as a backing, and I need to make sure that this fabric is strong enough for me to stick through my needles. So here's some purple as requested. She would like to have some purple elements into her piece. So but since she has blue eyes, I thought blue and purple will be a little too similar, so I'm deciding to add into some orange just to make it more interesting. So what I want to do is I want to actually have a color that's lighter, because I am going to hand draw the eyeball onto this piece. So let me see, what can I do? I'm just going to sort of layer these silk pieces. They're very thin anyway, can be easily sewn through. Oop, leftover. Okay. Oh, and over here, this is an embroidery hoop. For a while I got into sewing little things, so this is actually a 2-inch embroidery hoop. Yes, they do come in that small. The smallest one I actually have is 1 inch. They're really tiny, but this is a 2-inch. So what you want to do is to put all these pieces of cloth, so much for all that, on top of the hoop. And I'm gonna do this all over again. Put the sari silk on top of my cotton, and sort of randomly layer them in no particular order. I kind of like that they just kind of stick out, so I'm gonna do that. And layering them up. There we go. And oh, I need to loosen this up a little bit, and then push this down. Here we go. And just make sure these are stretched out. And tighten this up. Now the eye. I'm gonna hand draw this eye. Now this is just a regular gel pen. I got so used to just drawing with gel pen, and they're just smoother. I know there are some other ways to draw. Feel free to use a pencil if you like, because at least you can erase it. Since there are different thickness of black line, I decided to use both embroidery thread and regular sewing thread. So, so this one is a little thicker. So I'm going to be using a thicker needle. Now the thin part. So I got a thin needle and a thin thread. This is just a regular sewing needle. Just to touch up all the small details I couldn't have done with a thick string, the embroidery thread. So this is just a regular sewing needle and a sewing thread that you can find in any place, even the grocery store. You can probably find a simple sewing kit in the grocery store. Now the color part. Because the eye I wanted to stitch have a little bit of green there, even though she says she has blue eyes. I'm gonna mix a little bit of turquoise in the eye. So here's two different kinds of painter's thread. Now painter's threads are really just what you call a tie-dye thread. So the funny thing is the company that sells them actually named them under different names, like Van Gogh, Matisse, Cezanne, Mondrian, whoever you want to call the different artists. So here I have, I actually don't know what this is called, but since the needle is a little thick, I am going to use one of my needle threaders. So the trick is just pull this through. That's one of the nifty things about needle threaders. Now the green. Now that the eye is just about done, you know what's missing? You might have guessed it, the white part. Well, technically your eye doesn't have those white part, but those reflection, the glossiness, is what makes the eye look alive. That's where the soul is. And you see right through it. That's why they say eyes are the windows to your soul. That little sparkle right in your eye. Right there. And the stitch I just used is called a French knot. So right now I'm just using a regular sewing needle and a regular sewing thread Nothing fancy, just from the sewing kit. White and black. A little bit of fancy was the painter's thread, which has multicolors in it. And I make her eyes look more alive. Now the big reveal. I'm going to unfasten this embroidery hoop and take out the eye. The top one came off easily. The bottom one, oh look, I have accidentally sewn the sari silk onto the eye. So now I'm going to be ripping this out of the hoop. I don't want to just cut it because I want an very uneven edges. So now without hurting myself, I'm going to carefully rip this sari silk off the embroidery hoop. And also do so without destroying my eye. And here we go. That's the eye. Now let's see if it's the right size. It's a little too big. So here's just what I normally would do. I would poke some holes on my sari silk and just kind of rip it. Sometimes they rip easily, sometimes they don't. So I'll just use my little fabric scissors to carefully and purposefully rip it. When you rip the sari silk, sometimes the edges make it look like feather. That's what I love. So I'm going to purposely rip this a little bit more just to give it some special effect. Just be careful, don't hurt yourself. That's what I love about this little scissors. They're sharp, they're pointy, and yet they're mighty. Small mighty is what I call these little scissors. Beautiful. I think I'm gonna cut up this little cartoon as well. Just fringe it up some more. Like the torn jeans. Actually, here's what I want to do. I want to attach this piece to the handmade paper. Adding some extra sari to this. Yes. Piece up here. This make it look more feathery. Oh, I like that. And then Don't waste any bits of it. How about some more? Yes. I'm only gluing them down because I don't want them to be moving around when I start sewing. That's not a permanent solution. I wouldn't trust glue stick all completely. One more. Should I add it here? Sure, why not? Okay. Now these are this beet soup, I call them. They're assortment of beets, and sometimes there's sequins in them. And I got them from a local fabric store. And the beauty of them is that they come in a variety of beads, colors, and sizes. And normally I wouldn't mix the two different colors together. But in this case, I really would like to play with the gold and purple together, because this eye, in order for the eye to stand out, I need to incorporate purple with the gold, just so the color will come out. And still, I will include the purple like I was asked. Now to the sewing part. Now the final touch. Before I glue this on, I think I might burnish up the edges a little bit. It's a little harder to burnish after I already glue it onto the Now it's all glued down. This is Ming Zaleski. Thank you for watching.